Hello, Year 2. Welcome back to some more home learning after your half term week. I hope you all had a really lovely week and a lovely break, and I hope you're feeling refreshed now and ready to get on with some more home learning for this half term. You should have all had your new packs delivered before we broke up for half term. We are going to go back to using the comprehension books today. So it's going to be our new book. So this is the video. If you've got the Year 2 comprehension book, the one with the submarine on the front, we're going to start at the beginning. Like we said before half term, we're going to do 1 week where we look at doing some comprehension activities, and then we're going to do 1 week where we look at doing some writing. So it's going to be half and half. 1 week doing some reading and comprehension, 1 week getting some writing activities done. Okay, so I hope we're ready to do some super comprehension. Because we're starting at the beginning of the book, the texts are a little bit shorter again. So even when it is our comprehension session, I will always give you a challenge that will be more of a writing focus. Okay, so let's get going. Let's see what we are up to today. Monday, the 22nd of February. Our learning question today says, can I answer questions about an informal letter? About an informal letter. We're going to think about a letter first of all. We're going to think about a letter. And we're going to have a little chat. I want you to have a chat with your grown-up as well and then come back to me. I want to have a little chat about letters. So, what are letters for? Who might send letters? Why might people send letters? What might letters look like on the page? So what are the features you might see in a letter? So if you looked at a letter, you would know it was a letter straight away, but how? What features does a letter have? So have a little chat with your grown-up about what you know already about letters, and then come back to me. Okay, so letters then. Lots and lots of people can send letters for lots and lots of different purposes, different reasons. Have you ever sent a letter? I wonder if you've ever written a letter. I bet you have in school a little bit, haven't you? I'm sure we have written letters in school. So letters obviously are sent to somebody. Now, you need to put certain information in a letter, so you need to say who your letter is to. You need to say who your letter is from, and then obviously you'll have the main bit of your text, the main bit of writing to tell the person why you're writing the letter and the information that you want to give them in the letter. Okay? Some letters can be handwritten. You might write a letter, put it in an envelope and post it. Sometimes letters can be typed up and printed off and sent. Sometimes we might send emails, which are a little bit like letters that we send electronically, aren't they? So that's like electronic mail, email, letters that get sent through our computers. And there are many different purposes, lots of different reasons. So I want to think about this word informal now. You might have heard that word before. So informal can be one type of letter. The opposite of that then is formal. Okay. And formal letters are letters that are perhaps a little bit more serious or a little bit more important, or letters that might be to somebody who you don't know very well. So the kind of language we might use in a formal letter might be quite fancy or serious or posh or proper. We might talk a little bit more properly if we were writing in a formal letter. Whereas an informal letter usually is a letter to somebody who you know. So you might be a little bit more chatty in the letter because it's a person that you might know. The topic that you write about might not be a serious topic. It might be a little bit more light-hearted. Okay? So a letter that you might write to your friend that you already know or someone in your family would be an informal letter. You might use informal language because you already know that person, and the letter is more like having a little chat or a conversation. Whereas a formal letter is obviously about something a little bit more serious, so your language would be a little bit more serious, and often formal letters might be about something more important. And I remember we did have a go at writing a letter, didn't we? We wrote a letter to the hunters Do you remember the hunters and the people who were hunting the animals? And we wrote a formal letter that time. We were quite serious and professional in how we spoke. And the letter was to somebody who we didn't know, and it was about an important message, wasn't it? Okay, but we're thinking today about an informal letter. And our letter is a thank you letter. Have you ever written a thank you letter? What did you write it for? What were you thanking somebody for, and who were you thanking? I would love to know if you've written a thank you letter before. So we're going to use the title of the fact that we know it's a thank you letter to make a little prediction now. So you might be able to use your experience if you've ever written a thank you letter. Maybe you have received a thank you letter for something that you have done. So I want you to have a little prediction. Remember, predict is a little bit of a guess using what we might already know. I want you to have a little prediction. What do you think our thank you letter could be about today? What could somebody be thanking somebody for? Have a think of some possibilities and then come back to me. Okay. Thank you letter. We'll find out if you were right when we read. We're going to start then thinking about some tricky words. Now, because the text is quite a short text again today, I'm going to ask you to read the text yourself. So when we were getting to the end of the comprehension books and the text were getting longer and a little bit more complicated, a little bit more difficult to read and to understand, I was reading them to you a little bit. But because we're back at the beginning of the book and they're a little bit shorter, I want you to use your super reading skills to read it yourself. So we'll go over some tricky words. Remember, some tricky words might be words that even if you've got really, really super knowledge of phonics, that you wouldn't be able to use your phonics to decode. So some words are tricky because we just have to know them. We can't use our phonics to help. Whereas some of the tricky words I go over on the board might be tricky just because they are longer words. We talked about those and how we might have to chunk them to read, or just any other words that you might find a little bit difficult. It could be because the phonics sounds that are in the word don't match what we already know about phonic sounds, and some of them might just be words we have to remember. Okay, we've had that word before. We had that word last half term. That word is the word school, isn't it? So we've got CH making the K sound, school. Okay, school. Oh, then we've got this word. Now we also had quite a few words last half term where the letter O was making an O sound, not an O sound. So let's see if we could use our sound buttons. Remember that that is making an O sound in this word, and let's have a go at reading it. So an starts with an, and we've got O, other. Put them together. Another. Oh, this one is the one that's quite a long word. It's not tricky because of the sounds, but it's tricky because, like we said last half term, sometimes you see a word that's a longer word and you think, I can't do that word, it's a longer word. So we're going to practice using our chunking. Now, I know that all of you will be able to read that one, and that is a tricky word. So that part is to, isn't it? To, together. We broke it down into more manageable chunks rather than trying to do the whole word all in one go. Together, that one. This one then, again, we talked about this kind of phonic sound. So this one has got the letter C making a sound. It's a soft C word. So this word with a soft C, a sound, is fancy. 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 Now, fancy can mean that something is maybe a little bit posh or a little bit special. Or fancy, you might also say, I really fancy some crisps. Okay, it means you really, really want some. You really feel like having some. So fancy. Oh, that's a tricky word. That's one that we would struggle to use our phonics to work out. So it is friends. Friends. We've got IE making an E sound, which we just have to know that word. We can't use our phonics for that one. So that one is friends. I bet we're all missing our friends, aren't we? Okay. This one might give you a little clue to what could be happening in the text. So this one looks like it would have an sound in, doesn't it? We know that IR makes an sound, but this word is the word pirate. So pirate. So the letter I is making an I sound. Pirate. Pirate. We don't look like a split digraph there, but we wouldn't really pronounce it as pirate, would we? Pirate, that one. The word pirate. What a strange word to have in a thank you letter. I wonder why that word might be there. Oh, another word that we might need to break up. I'm going to split it there. Now, what's the end of that one? What does O-N-E spell? Remember that tricky word? That's one, isn't it? So we've got one, then we've got every. Everyone. 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 Again, it's a long word, but if we break it up into chunks, it is easier for us to read it. Everyone. Okay, now you hopefully should have your phonics mats at home to help you if you need them. And I want you to be using your phonics because I aren't reading it to you today. I want you to be using your phonics. I would like you to have your pencils ready as you are reading it to put your sound buttons underneath to help you to spot where some of your phase 3 or phase 5 sounds might be in the word if you come across a word that's unfamiliar to you and you don't recognise it. I think there will be lots of words that you'll be able to read just from sight, just from looking at them, and I think you're going to do a super job. So I'd like you to have a read now. I'd like you to think about those tricky words, think about your phonics and have a read. So we're in our submarine year 2 book and we're right at the start on page 1. It says thank you letter and you can see it is only a short little bit of text today. Okay, so off you go, have a little go at reading and then come back to me. We're going to do some practice questions and then think about your questions in your booklet. Okay, so super reading. Off you go. Right, I'm going to put the text under the visualizer. I hope you've had a lovely go at reading. Let's have a little look. There we go. So we've got my thank you letter there. Did some of you say it might be a thank you letter to say thank you for a present that they had? Did some of you guess that in your predictions at the start? Because that's what the letter was about, wasn't it? So it was to Uncle Simon and it was from Cara. We said that those are the features of a letter, aren't they? That you have to say who it is to at the start and who it is from afterwards. So Cara was writing her letter to Uncle Simon to say thank you for a birthday present, wasn't she? So she'd had a birthday. Uncle Simon had sent her a present. She was being really polite by writing a letter to say thank you. Do you think perhaps Uncle Simon lives really, really close to Cara, or do you think he might live a little bit far away? What do you think? That's a little inference skill, isn't it, for that? I think he possibly lives far away because maybe if it is that he lived close, maybe she wouldn't need to write a letter. But it is always nice to write and send thank you letters anyway, isn't it? But that could be a little inference skill. Maybe we might guess or predict that maybe he lives far away and doesn't see Cara very often. Right. Or maybe she was just being very polite and sending it. So hopefully you've had a little read. We have got obviously some questions at the bottom, but only a few of them. So we're going to look at our practice questions first. Okay. Now, one of your practice questions today is a multiple choice question. And that just means there are choices for your answers. There's more than one choice, and you've got to choose the right one. So again, even though we know lots of the answers because we've read them, we always have to make sure we go back to the text and prove it, don't we? So most of our questions today are going to be inference questions. Okay, but we do we're going to be retrieval questions, sorry, but we do have one inference question at the end. So usually when you have a multiple choice type question, it will be a retrieval question. It will be where the answer is there. You've just got to find and tick the right one. So this one says then our practice question. What did Cara dress as at her party? Tick one. Now I bet if you've read that and you did a really good job and we also thought about this tricky word, I think we would know this one straight away. But just so that we are practicing, making sure we are proving it using the text, we are going to find the answer. So our answers are a princess or a pirate. I know we know it, but let's just go back to our text just so that we are practicing proving it, proving our retrieval questions. So let's go back. I know she talks about the party at the bottom. So we've got to remember we look for our keywords in the question. I dressed up as a pirate. So we've proved it now because sometimes just on the off chance that we don't prove it, it might be that we get it wrong. Big tick in the box that says pirate. We don't just know it, we have to show it. Let's see the next one. I'm giving you another multiple choice one. Where this time, remember when it's got a H in, it is where, not were. Where did Cara have her party? At the park or at her house? So I'm going to look for the keyword of party in my text. Again, I'm sure you can remember, but we are going to prove it. So here is my word party. And here is my word party. So let's have a read of that paragraph. On my birthday, I had a fancy dress party at my house. So we proved it there. We've got it in the text. At my house. Let's go back and tick the right one. Was not at the park. It was at her house. We haven't got the word park mentioned in the text, have we? Right then, let's have a look at your questions for today, and then I'll tell you about your writing challenge. You have got 3 questions today. The first one is multiple choice, and it is for you to tick one. Why will Cara find the tennis racket useful? Something is useful, it means you will use it, doesn't it? Useful. Tick one. Her old tennis racket is broken. She has tennis lessons after school. Okay, so again, sure you will remember that from the text, but go back and prove, show you're grown up, circle it, highlight where the answer is, and then you're going to tick a box. Question 2. This is another retrieval question. The answer's there, but instead of ticking the box, you're going to copy the answer down. Why does Cara want Uncle Simon to bring another tennis racket when he comes to visit? Okay, so you need to see what keywords you think you've got in that question, find those keywords in the text, and the answer will be there for you to write down. Why does Cara want Uncle Simon to bring another tennis racket? You can write your answer down. You might want to do a full sentence. She wants him to bring another tennis racket because, but you've only got one line. So if you just wanted to write down the answer that you found in a text, that will still get you the marks. When we only have one line for the answer, we're not expecting you to write lots and lots of words. Okay. Now, the next one then, the last one that you've got today, this is an inference question. The answer isn't exactly there, but there are definitely some clues which tell us the answer. Do you think Cara enjoyed her birthday party? So that's yes, I do, or no, I don't. How do you know? So you've said whether you think she did or not, but then you've got to back it up using the evidence or the clues that you find in the text. What does Cara say about her birthday party, which can tell you if she enjoyed it or not? Okay, I know you're going to do such a super job with those. So 3 questions. So then I have got you a challenge. Your challenge is a writing activity. Now you should have at home your red books, your red lined books, which you can complete your challenges in. Okay, so it might be that you want to find the date at the start of our video, write our date down, and then you might want to complete your challenge activities now in our red books. Your challenge is a writing task, and it says, can you write your own short letter to someone you haven't seen recently, or someone that you might like to thank? Okay, so there will be lots of people you haven't seen recently because we are all staying at home lots more, aren't we now, at the minute? So there might be lots of people you haven't seen recently. It might be nice if you want to write somebody a letter. Maybe somebody recently has done something really nice to you that you could say thank you to. Or maybe just like Cara was telling her Uncle Simon all about her party that she's had recently, maybe there's something you've done recently that you could write a little letter to somebody who you haven't seen for a while to tell them about it. Okay, I would love to see your letters. Would love to see the answer to your comprehension questions. We were doing so well at sending over our learning, so we can't wait to see how well you get on with your literacy work today. Little bit of question answering from your reading, and hopefully you are going to have a go at the challenge today, which is to have a little go at writing your own short letter. Remember, we're going to start with dear to say who the letter is to. We're going to write some short sentences or some short bit of text to tell whoever you're writing to something that you might want to tell them, and then you're going to put from and your name at the bottom. Okay, well done you two. Do a super job. Can't wait to see your learning.